Hi, I'm Erin Rosenthal, the Product Management Lead for Communities at Yammer. Today, I want to talk to you about the powerful features in the new Yammer, which you can use to supercharge your communities to meet the challenges we're all facing with our remote, hybrid, or perhaps just very different workplaces. We'll focus on the power of communities to bring people together, using communities to enable open dialogue with leadership and how Yammer can facilitate this, and using Yammer to share updates and campaigns with everyone in your organization. I'll also talk briefly about some new tools to help you build an effective network. My goal is to provide tips for a variety of people, whether you're a seasoned community manager or are responsible for corp comms, or maybe you're responsible for the overall success of Yammer in your organization. All right, let's dive in. Last year at Ignite in Orlando, we were incredibly excited to announce the year of Yammer. We, of course, had a vision in mind for what that meant, in seeing Yammer as the place for connecting across organizations with corporate communications, communities, discovery, knowledge. But we had no idea how the world was going to change to truly be the year of Yammer as COVID-19 started, and many of us started working from home in hybrid situations or just in very different workplaces. And we realized that the way we had been working just wasn't going to work anymore. This time has given us such an opportunity to learn from you, our customers, and see how Yammer has helped you solve these and other challenges. As organizations have transitioned to working from home, Microsoft has been conducting research about the new challenges people face as they adapt. We have found that while most employees are still highly productive, they're overwhelmed by managing more meetings and life demands, making it difficult to achieve work-life balance. We're also learning that employees are lonely, disconnected, and feeling socially isolated. In fact, nearly 60% of people we surveyed feel less connected to their colleagues since working remotely more often. And in China, this number spiked to 70%. This makes sense, as there are things we've lost as we've moved online, like the opportunity to connect with others through casual hallway conversations, in-person meetups with your ERGs, or even something as simple as lunch with your team. We need to adapt and find new ways to have these casual interactions in our work life again. Additionally, employees need support and help in ways they hadn't before. They are forced to find new ways to accomplish these tasks they did in person in the office, such as getting technical support, while also finding new ways of staying connected with their team, department, and company. Well, at first we thought these changes would be short-lived. As time has gone on, we see that they will be longer lasting. And our research shows that over 71% of employees and managers desire the flexibility to work from home post-pandemic, and 82% of managers expect to have more flexible work from home policies post-pandemic. This means that these adaptations will become permanent changes necessary to create community and belonging across the organization, no matter where and when you work. I personally believe this is for the better, as these are more open, inclusive ways of connecting with one another. Now, let's talk about how Yammer can help your organization adapt to meet these new challenges. In Microsoft 365, Yammer is the tool for building communities, building and sharing knowledge, and engaging employees across the organization. Use Yammer to create and drive culture that aligns the employee base to the vision and mission of your organization. Yammer enables leaders to connect with their teams and steer the organization during times of change, and to quickly adapt to external and internal factors, something that can help companies stay nimble and resilient and keep their business competitive and their employees safe. In today's age of rapid change, being able to transform the way a company works to meet marketing needs is paramount, and Yammer provides the tools you need to drive organizational change at all levels. To this, Yammer enables communicators to use communities and conversations to share information across boundaries and to engage people. We'll take a look at how new features and capabilities expand the reach of news, help target specific communities and audiences, and build dialogue amongst employees across the company. Yammer also helps organizations harness and collect knowledge of their employee base by connecting people to share best practices, ask questions, and get answers from experts. In communities, employees can work together to find solutions, crowdsource ideas, and drive innovation, and give everyone an opportunity to contribute. These scenarios and outcomes require connecting people beyond their work groups, fostering relationships and conversations that cross teams, departments, and organizational boundaries. That's why communities matter. Small communities that connect people who share common interests and experience, communities of practice where experts from across the organization can exchange ideas, and communities that enable a work group to engage people from outside their team, and then large communities that connect departments, divisions, and the organization to communicate and engage at scale. To deliver these scenarios to you, we've rebuilt Yammer from the ground up with dozens of innovations and integrations across Microsoft 365. Now I'll dive into how you can use Yammer to achieve similar goals within your organization. Let's start by talking about the core of Yammer, communities. Through the years, we've seen tons of great use cases for communities to connect people to communicate and engage at scale. There are the common ones, like communities in support of a shared experience or interest. These can focus on diversity and belonging, or a strategy or social good initiative within the organization, sort of like climate change. And ones which connect with people across teams to share knowledge through communities of practice. This is a great way for people with the same role, but across different departments or divisions, to share knowledge and connect with one another. Others which have been helpful are the sort which connect your team to internal audiences. For example, here at Microsoft, we have a very active Yammer community, which the Teams team runs in order to get open product feedback across the entire organization. And it also helps people transition into Teams. This is one of the use cases we really recommend you do with all of the products you're rolling out, is creating such a community, actually. And then similarly, there are support communities like the Microsoft 365 community, which can crowdsource solutions to everyday problems with the tools people use every day. There are lots more examples than that, but I'm sure you'll come up with many of your own. Because Yammer communities are a great tool, it's been a natural place to create newly needed communities during COVID. We've seen some fun, creative, and useful communities show up to help support the remote workforce and help people feel more connected. In fact, I've heard of a working from home group created recently called Blazers on Top, Pajamas on the Bottom, which always makes us chuckle. And we've seen great growth and support in parenting communities as well, as parents need a bit more support and more tips and tricks, or just a place to talk about what it's like to be a parent right now as they're navigating these new challenges. In fact, within Microsoft, we have our own powerful story I want to share with you about how Yammer helped our employees with their immigration questions during this confusing time. Over the last few months, the US has experienced many challenges in immigration policy. Immigration is a very complicated subject with many types of visas involved. Staying on top of the challenges and understanding what it means to an individual has been a real challenge, which has created a lot of stress for those working here on visas as they've tried to understand how changes may impact them and their families. Living with such uncertainty is emotionally exhausting. Some employees, like Rose here, had to resort to uninstalling news apps from their mobile phones to keep from being distracted by confusing messages coming from news and social media. As we worked through this, we discovered we had a resource within Microsoft which really made a difference here, the US immigration community in Yammer. This community is managed by attorneys and immigration specialists like Jack, and it supports employees on work visas at Microsoft on their immigration journey by answering questions and sharing updates on important developments. This community has become a central place for employees to ask immigration questions, to get clear answers, and to be reminded that they're not alone. What's really interesting is to see the reach this community has had, that it's been able to get important updates to people who hadn't even discovered the community yet. Here's an example. When a recent presidential proclamation came out, Jack, who leads the US immigration team, posted initial guidance within 15 minutes of its release. Within a short time, more than 4,000 employees had viewed that post, which was well beyond the 2,500 members of the community. And 96% of the community members engaged with the post by reading, liking, commenting, and sharing it. So how did those numbers happen? Since this is a public community and the posts are accessible to anyone, Employees share the guidance with anyone who needed it, making it so that those who hadn't yet discovered the community were able to benefit from it. From there, engagement by both community members and others rose dramatically as employees sought trustworthy information about what to do next, and it became the first source of information for many employees. This is a big change from the old way they were sharing information, which was through individual emails. That way didn't scale, wasn't open, and was difficult to engage in such a broad conversation in a way that everyone could benefit. But this new way on Yammer really worked, and employees felt that the immigration team had their back. What's great is that the immigration team isn't alone here, and they also have the support of community members like Rose, who chipped in to help. When Rose sees an employee question that has been answered before, she'll reply and link to previous posts in the community, helping others answer their concerns with reliable information that is readily available. I find this really impressive to hear how powerful this community has been for keeping US employees on visas up to date and feeling supported and reducing their stress and anxiety through such informative, timely updates. That's a great story, isn't it? You can do it too. Let's dive in and talk about some of the great features in Yammer, which can help make sense of belonging and support happen within your organization. This is the community's experience in the new Yammer. As you can see, it has a clean, modern design and is based on Fluent, so it now integrates well with the rest of the Microsoft suite and feels like part of the family. Later on, I'll show you why this is so important when you see how we've been able to take advantage of this to build great new integrations into Teams, Outlook, and SharePoint. At the heart of the new community design is the new cover photo, which shows off the purpose of the community. It's a great way to really represent your community to others, like potential community members who are browsing the community, as it helps people understand what the community is about. You can be really creative about these images, perhaps even use it as a way to promote a campaign or a hashtag that you're using in your community, or to promote an upcoming event that you want people to know about. These are also really easy for you to customize whenever you want. If you're a community manager, you just go and say update cover photo, and you can pick a new cover photo, and let's try this one, and it'll update. Voila, there you go. Super easy. I know that it can be a challenge though to find the right cover photo, so to get you started, we've put some available up on the Yammer Adoption Resources website, where there's also this really cool PowerPoint template that you can use to preview what the cover photo might look like in a community. Looking at the rest of the communities page, you can see that we've simplified things quite a bit. We've removed a bunch of stuff from the right-hand rail and moved it into the About page so that you can focus on the content that's most important in the community, but you can still have access to things that you need to get access to, like community insights or the related communities. Also, the community resources links are in this About page. Going back to conversations, you can see that you can easily add pinned resources still to the right-hand rail if there's any other content that you think is really important. Let's quickly talk about the feed too. The new feed has a clean conversation-centric design with bold post types, making it easy for the content to really shine. We have rich image and content previews, which makes posts engaging. For example, in this case, this person has chosen to use a GIF to really bring some levity, as this is about how do we do morale events. Let's see, maybe I can help out here. I've heard that online charades are a fun thing, or maybe one of those online puzzle rooms. So let's see. Have you thought about online charades? And then, I want to add a GIF here, just because it'll add that special something, and you can post. There's tons of really rich ways of expressing yourself in the posts. First, there's the GIFs. Then we've also added new reactions so that you can pick a variety of emotions to react with in whatever community. So like on this post, I think this is funny. I'm going to switch it from celebrate to laugh. And you can hover over and see how different people have reacted to the post in the conversation. Another really cool thing we have, especially in broader organizations that might span multiple regions and locations and languages, is the ability to translate content in line in the conversation. In this case, I translated that Spanish content back over to English. and so that I can read it because I'm an English speaker. Another great thing that we can do is share, and I realize this post might be really helpful for the people of the Parents of Contoso community. So I'm going to share it to that community now. Let's see, anyone have any tips? And just pick the community, that's parents, and there you go, sharing it over to that community. Now, when we go over to parents, we should be able to see that post right at the top. Oh, there we go. Anyone have any tips? That's the one I just made. Other fun new things that we have in the new Yammer are the ability to favorite your community. So the ones that you get to the most frequently or use the most, or even the ones you community manage, can be right on top. All you have to do is, here I'm going to do this one. Sales best practice is one of my favorites. So I just clicked the heart and it's now moved into my favorites list. Something really important to keep in mind with communities is that unlike email addresses, if you're new to a community, as soon as you join, you can catch up on what's going on there. And so it's a lot more inclusive. It feels like you belong. That rich history of the community is still there, enabling to see the topics of discussion and get up to speed quickly in the current conversation. I find this a lot more useful in this way than a mailing list, which typically doesn't have this sort of ability for people to get up to speed and see the archives of what's been there. Now I want to talk about another great use case, which has been helpful during COVID, question-focused communities. Let's see, Microsoft 365 help, that's a good one. Yammer is a great place for these communities which focus on getting an answer to your question and learning from others. This is a powerful way to build up knowledge across your organization. And with the new Project Cortex integration, these questions can easily be surfaced with their related topics, making it easy to get this information from anywhere. People are using these a lot more, as in the past, you could just walk up to your support desk in the office or lean back and ask a teammate for help. Now we need to find a new way to do that, and these sort of question-focused communities have been a great way. Let's look at this one. This is a place that everyone can ask a question. We've added a bunch of new things to make this even easier. Let's see, let's start by looking at the question post type. They're very visual and have a lot of indicators that this is a question. So that brings it to the attention so that as people come to the community and browse the different content in the feed, they know that these questions are different and people who want to help out have a way of instantly engaging. We've also added a new ability for you to specify the default post type of the community. So if you're the community manager and you're doing a question-focused community, you can make it so that the questions as people post them are questions by default. We know this was an issue that was happening all the time of people would just post a post and wouldn't actually use the question function. So we've made this a lot easier. Questions also have fun special abilities like mark best answer. So let's see, in this case, this question, actually it looks like Lydia had the best answer here. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark best answer. And then when I come back in, this best answer, as you can see, it already has an indicator here and it'll be at the top so that anyone looking at this post in the future can easily get that best answer immediately. Let's see, I wanna make a new post. So does anyone know when we will get the new PowerPoint templates? I've seen these templates and they're really exciting. And I can't wait to get my hands on them. And so I'm going to post the question here. And actually, I just realized I posted as a post, not as a question. But hey, it gives me a chance to show you this, that I can easily change this to a question so that now it's much more likely that someone will be able to answer it and they'll know that this is a question. We have other cool new features for these question-focused communities too, as we know that like the goal of them is to really get as many questions answered as possible. So you can easily search for unanswered questions in your community and get someone to answer a question or answer it yourself, so that way you can drive all of the questions to conclusion. This is a good way that you would use the mark best question or mark best answer, sorry, button on a post. This is the best way that you would integrate that. Now let's talk about some new features we've added to help you stay on top of your communities. If you're a community manager or rely on Yammer for your job, the recent Yammer integrations into Teams and Outlook and the new mobile experiences have made it easier than ever to stay on top of your communities. For example, the new Communities app in Teams gives you full access to Yammer from within Teams. From here, you can browse your communities and home feed just as you can the web experience. You also get the benefit of desktop notifications and app mentions. So let's take a look. So here's my Yammer home feed in the new Teams integration. You can see I'm in the app by the communities icon here. I can get to all the communities in the same way I can, and I can still see all of the different post types, like here's the question. I can reply, and I get access to all the same functionality, like adding topics. I didn't even talk about that, but you can even do that here. And as I said, your notifications show up in the activity feed, just like other notifications in Teams. So if someone mentions you, or if there's an announcement like this one, you can make sure you can see it. And it loads really quickly and easily and goes into a deep link to show you the content of that post so that you don't have to dig around to try to find the thing that you're looking for or that you need to pay attention to. Oh, here's one. Let's see. So it's a company considering a holiday. Oh, you know what? I haven't liked this one yet, so I want to like this because this person mentioned the Alex, who I'm logged in as. Another great way to stay on top of your community is to make sure you subscribe to it over email. When you do this, all new posts in the community get delivered to your Outlook inbox. And with the new Outlook integration, they come in as rich interactive messages, which means you can respond right within Outlook. See, you can give one of those new rich reactions if you like. You can write a reply. You can even include a GIF. And if someone mentions you or replies to your message, you get these emails as well, so that you can right in the context of the message in your inbox. I really use this a lot, as I use it as my to-do list for any communities I manage or anything I need to stay on top of. So any messages I haven't yet dealt with are still visible to me, and I can take care of them at the end of the day. Before we move on, I want to touch on one more tip for staying on top of your communities by using our mobile experiences. Depending on your personal preference or perhaps restrictions in place in your organization, there's a version of Yammer on mobile for you. Mobile is a great way to stay on top of conversations with push notifications and post and reply when you have a free moment during the day. And mobile is there for you when you need to do a quick community admin task, like removing a pinned post when it's no longer needed or adding a member to a community. First, let's start with the newly redesigned mobile apps on Android and iOS, which include all of the latest new Yammer features and capabilities. There, you can engage with leadership, praise a coworker, and you can post a lighthearted GIF or welcome a new employee to your community. We've also added better previews for images, videos, links, and files, and you can preview content for style and accuracy before hitting post. Community admins can pin conversations in communities, close conversations, and upload community cover photos to customize the community's look and feel. We've also redesigned live events in Yammer to ensure everyone can watch and participate from the mobile app and improve performance while uploading attachments for large videos, allowing them to process and upload in the background after you publish your post. It's really made things a lot smoother. Also, the mobile apps have the newly added video story support, which is a great way to share a current moment or thought with others. So you can record something and post it and share it immediately. It's a lot of fun, and we've seen a lot of people doing that to share their moments these days. Though, if your organization is focused on Teams as an integrated solution, the new Communities app in Teams is a great way to access everything in Yammer on mobile. And since it's based on the new Yammer web experience, all the great functionality you expect in Yammer Web is available here. The app will also send you push notifications, alerting you to announcements and app mentions, which you should take a look at. And tapping on those notifications brings you right to the full conversation in Yammer. It's really slick. Be sure to pin it in your tab bar on the mobile app so you can get to it easily. Or if neither of those are options for you, the new Yammer Web also works on mobile. The reactive interface demonstrated in the previous demos scales down nicely, and like in Teams, gives you all the functionality you'd expect on Yammer Web. Give one of those a try to help you stay on top of the communities on the go. All right, that's a lot about communities and how to access them from Teams, Outlook, SharePoint, as well as web and mobile. I hope you've been inspired to come up with some new communities to start within your organization and new features you can try out in your communities to help bring everyone together. Now, I want to turn our attention briefly to using Yammer for leadership communications. As I mentioned earlier, research shows that it's vital to have open lines of communication across the organization to keep people aligned on the latest strategy. This has always been a best practice, but now it's so easy for an employee to not feel connected to the leadership of the organization and the latest strategy and initiatives. We at Microsoft have seen great success with our CEO Connection community. This is a community where employees across the organization can ask questions of Satya and the other members of the SLT, and where you can ask questions and participate in town halls via live events. This has also been a great place for Satya to post announcements, strategy updates, or to demonstrate how the organization is responding to current issues impacting the company. While these types of communities are really powerful, one request we've heard numerous times from our customers is that sometimes, let's just say it's difficult to get executives to engage on Yammer. While direct engagement is definitely the best practice across our most successful networks, sometimes that's just not possible, and someone else needs to post a message on behalf of the executive from time to time. We've had scripts and other ways to kind of make this work in the past, but now we're adding the feature directly. The leader can now specify someone in the organization who can make posts in Yammer on their behalf. This will make it much easier when following up to a question posted during a live event with the spoken answer, and with bringing in the executive voice in the conversation. We're really excited to bring this feature to you over the coming months. Now turning over to events. Events are something that you can do in other communities, not just in your leadership communities. But we've also seen these live events as a really successful way to bring your organization together across locations. We ourselves use Yammer live events for Microsoft-wide town halls with Satya every month, and we use them within our parent organization to share weekly updates about important topics. We've also been using them to bring in external speakers to support our diversity and inclusion efforts. We've had a number of interviews with prominent authors via live events broadcast in Yammer, and we've used this as a way to discuss shared experiences with others on the team. As you can see, we're working on a number of improvements to our live events experience. First of all, we're making the video much bigger and putting the Yammer conversation on the right-hand side, making it much easier to have that immersive experience you want when watching the video, all while being able to engage in the conversation at the same time. We're also refining the experience for pinned posts so that pinned posts at the top of your event feed won't prevent you from keeping up with the conversation as it happens. I admit it, I've been using this new side-by-side view during events, and it's so powerful in the way that it brings the conversation into the experience. It's like magic. In fact, we've held a very large event here at Microsoft over the last few weeks that had over 50,000 attendees, and it was powered by the conversation with the Yammer community in the new modernized embed. It was so amazing to see the engagement from members of our leadership team during the event, and to see that it provided a way to have an organized conversation with replies. This capability made the conversations scale to a crowd that big so that people could reply in context and feel each other's presence, including the presence of the executive team. It was really great to see Amy Hood and Chris Capacetta engaging in conversations and even starting their own conversations, cheering people on. As one person said, this is the best 52,000 person chat room ever. We were really thrilled to provide that experience. And as you can imagine, there are a lot of ways you can use this capability within your own organization. Another thing we hear often from customers is the importance of bringing these conversations and important posts from the leadership team into the intranet site. In the last year, we've released the new modernized SharePoint web part, which brings the new Yammer design into our SharePoint components. Now we're doing one better and creating a new leadership page template for SharePoint. With this new template, you'll be able to easily pull together a leadership page, which brings the Yammer conversation by default, while also spotlighting other important news and upcoming events in the organization. We're making it possible for you to apply this template to your existing SharePoint site, which is already connected to your Yammer community, giving you a seamless connection between the two. We have other great sessions covering using Yammer for leadership and employee engagement, so make sure to check those out for more detail. On top of these great capabilities, which make it easy for you to host a variety of events and connect communities in various ways across the organization, We've also been working to make Yammer more effective in sharing news to everyone in your organization. Let's switch over to a demo so I can show you how it works. If you're familiar with Yammer, you're probably familiar with Yammer announcements, which give posts some special abilities, like putting a special banner at the top indicating it's an announcement and sending an email to members of the community, making sure they see the post. Let's take a look at how that works. Right now, I'm logged in as Megan, and Megan wants to do a post across Contoso about the new Employee Pulse survey. So she picks Contoso Life as the community for this, as it seems like the best place to have this happen. It's a community devoted to their culture, and she wants to make this post as an announcement. Now, announcements are pretty easy. All you have to do is click this button, and that turns it into an announcement. And unlike with the old Yammer, the new Yammer actually allows you to do announcements for any type of post. So it doesn't just have to be a discussion. You could announce a question or a praise or a poll if that made sense for what you were doing. But in my case, a discussion makes the most sense. So let's just go ahead and do this. So yep, I've gone ahead and turned it into an announcement, and let's make that post. And we can see here that it picked up all those attributes that announcements get. It's got this header at the top here saying that it's an announcement, and I can rest assured that it sent out notifications in the back end to people to make sure that they see this post. But in this case, this is something that relates to everyone across all of Contoso, not just the people who are in this community. So I want to make sure it gets broader reach. The best way to do that is by taking advantage of a new feature called Featured Conversations. So let's go ahead and do that. What Featured Conversations does is it will go ahead and promote this post in the home feed for everyone who visits Yammer during this time frame. So to make sure that they can actually see it, and it gets that broader reach that I want. So September 22nd, that seems like a good time to stop featuring this, and let's go ahead and continue. And we can see that it was successful. Let's just dismiss this banner so you can take a look, and you can see how these Featured Conversations look. They have a bit of a different look. They've got this background color and a different header across the top. So they draw a bit more attention to themselves. And this is how they appear everywhere. They appear this way in Teams. They appear this way in the home feed. They appear this way in Outlook as well, so that they have this broader visibility that will drive a bit more attention. This feature is incredibly powerful. Within Microsoft, we've been using it on a couple of things. Like we used it to announce the hackathon that went on a couple weeks ago, and we used it recently to announce some changes in our online library, where the post about it was within a community that was pretty small in terms of the number of people, but it managed to get over 10,000 views within just a few days. That's really amazing as a way of driving a campaign across an organization and getting the reach that you really want. Now, all these powers are even stronger when you combine them with All Company. Let's take a look. Over the last year, we've made some really great improvements to All Company, which is the default community in Yammer that brings your entire organization together in one place. All Company is no longer just a special group. It's now an actual community which you can customize to fit your organization with cover photos, a custom name, or a custom avatar like you can do in all communities. This way, you can make sure All Company reflects your intention and your brand and suits your organization a bit better. You can now also specify community admins for All Company so that you can make sure that there are people who are dedicated to staying on top of what's going on here. All Company has tons of uses, but we've heard that many of you want to use it for more official communication in your network. To help with that, we've added the ability to limit who can post in All Company, making it so that only community admins see the publisher at the top of the feed. In this case, I'm currently logged in as Megan, who does have the posting ability in All Company, so Megan sees the publisher. However, those who aren't community admins here don't. They can still read, reply, and react to posts in the community, and they will still see posts in their home feed, but they won't be able to make a new post. Let's take a look at what Alex sees when he's here. So Alex, who isn't an admin of All Company, is using, and he's also using Teams, so you can actually see how well the integration is in Teams with the Communities app. And when Alex goes to All Company, you see that he doesn't have a publisher. He sees everything else though. He has the full feed, he has all the posts, he can like or thank or reply. He can fully engage with the conversations here just as he could before. He just can't make new posts here. Now I want to check in and see about that announcement that we did in the other community in Kintoso Life. I want to make sure that it actually got the reach and attention I wanted, and that since he's in Teams, I want to make sure he actually got that notification. So let's hop in. Yep, look at that. We've got this post from just a few minutes ago, and there it is. You can see the full post in its rich glory of with the background matching and everything, so that you can make sure that these announcements actually get the visibility that you want for people, regardless of what tool they're using. And in fact, they get better reach within Teams. So I hope you see that those are some great ways to make announcements and make content more visible across your entire network. Those are some of the great ways we've seen customers take advantage of the new Yammer to help their company be more connected as more people work remotely and to drive change within their organization. Now I want to focus on some new tools and technologies we've recently added and are working on now, which you should have access to by the end of the year, which will help you make your Yammer network more effective. Let's start with insights. After all, you're only as good as what you can measure, right? Well, the big news here is that we're working on some major changes for our insights and are extending them to include more aspects of Yammer. We want to make it easy for you to measure the success of your community's events and even individual conversations in Yammer. I'm only going to touch on these briefly here. Be sure to check out the other sessions for a lot more detail about the coming changes. But we're starting off with a new look and feel for the existing community insights. These insights are helpful for gauging the overall engagement and posting rate within your community, as well as the reach of your community with others in the network. On top of that, we're adding question and answer insights. We know how important it is for many community managers to make sure that questions get answered promptly. In fact, that is a core signal for many communities. These new insights will help you monitor how your community is doing in staying on top of the questions and making sure they're getting great answers. This will be really useful in support style communities as well as leadership communities and live events, where it's really important to drive questions to completion. You'll also be able to monitor how you're trending over time, so you can see if you need to recruit more resources to help out. And now here's the big one, live events insights. We're adding detailed event insights, giving you the ability to monitor your organization's engagement with your live events before, during, and even after the event. This will include being able to monitor total number of viewers, even including real time during the event, so you can keep an eye on how it's going. It will also include interesting insights, like what department or location people are joining from, and will highlight top conversations and unanswered questions so you know where to focus your attention. This is a huge improvement, and we're really excited to bring this to you soon. The next type of insight that we're adding is conversation insights, where you can see at an individual level how a conversation is performing in your network. From there, you'll be able to measure reach of how many people have seen this post, monitor the engagement and see how they're reacting and replying, and amplify the conversation as needed to make sure it's getting the attention it needs. We've also had some interesting conversations with customers who had Yammer deployed but haven't really been tending to it, and things have turned into a bit of the Wild West. We recognize the pain that brings to driving success in Yammer in your organization and have added some new features to help tidy things up and get conversations under control. Here are some tips. First, take advantage of the community insights and the other analytics tools to see what's working and what's not in your network and tune it from there. Next, take advantage of the new all company, which we spoke about earlier, where you can now brand it to match your organization, rename it, and even add limits for who can post, enabling to use it as an official news channel, which reaches everyone. And now for these last two, I'll show you these two new capabilities now. The first one is muting communities in the home feed. We've heard this from a lot of organizations as they take on changing how they use Yammer in their organization. We want to keep people from getting distracted by that gaming group or obsessive fan in your network, or that hyper-specific yet really engaged community which keeps showing up in the home feed. You can now mute communities in the home feed, both as an individual and as a network admin. If you're the network admin, muting the community in the home feed will make it no longer show up as a post. But fear not, people will still be able to find this community by searching for it, looking in community discovery, Or if it pertains to someone, it could even pop up in their suggested communities if it's the right community for them. And don't worry, if you're a member of the community, it will still show up in your home feed so you can keep being involved and stay on top of what's happening. Also, as your network grows, depending on your organization, you might want to make sure there's a safety net in place for when conversations go wrong. We still have the legacy keyword monitoring, where the best pro tip I've heard is to set it up to email a Teams channel for your back channel conversation. Then you can triage, stay on top, and have a conversation with other admins about the posts. We now have a report a conversation feature, which you can enable within your own network. Users can then report conversations or replies, which they feel are in violation of corporate policy. This then triggers an email to a list of your choosing to help you check in on the situation and handle it if needed. And if you're in native mode, there's conversation compliance. This is a really powerful suite integrated tool, which can help you monitor Yammer conversations like you do other conversations within your network. Now that we've looked at the great ways you can use Yammer Communities for connecting people and building up knowledge in forums, I want to show you a quick sneak peek at some features we have coming soon, which will make the communities experience even better and help make communities more discoverable. Okay, I'll be upfront with you. We've heard it loud and clear that we may have gone too far with or done too good of a job in cleaning up the community's experience. And there are some things you miss and have requested we bring back. The first thing we're doing is addressing the feedback on white space issues. Through these improvements, you'll be able to see more communities at once in your left-hand rail, and your favorite communities will be more separated out from the rest of your communities. This also will help us get prepared for more future-looking changes that will enable you to have more control over your communities list overall. We're also taking a new look at the right-hand rail and focusing it on moving the content into clean modules, which you can expand and collapse as needed. This will make it so that the content you need is easy to get to when you need it, while keeping them from getting in your way when you don't. And we're bringing back the Microsoft 365 resources to the right-hand rail. We got a lot of feedback from people who rely on these links that they just weren't discoverable enough in the About page, so we're moving them back. The next big change we have that I'm excited about is the collapse pin conversation. We've heard that while people love the pin conversation functionality, it sometimes gets in the way, especially in live events or when the post includes lots of images like the one here. So we've taken that feedback and we'll be adding a collapsed state to the pin post. If you've already seen the post at the top of your feed once, the next time you go into the community, it will still be anchored at the top for quick reference, but it will be auto-collapsed. You will still be able to expand and collapse it to see the full content, but it will stay tucked away most of the time, making it easier for you to get to the community feed and see what's new. This new collapse state will also be coming to live events, which should really help attendees engage in the events while being able to access the agenda or instructions at the top of the feed as needed. We're also putting more effort into helping employees get in the right communities and making it easier to browse and discover communities in your network. We're reinvigorating the suggested communities module and we'll be bringing that back to the right rail of the homepage. This module now takes advantage of the great cover photos we mentioned earlier to make it easier to get more context about the communities. Plus, we're showing more communities in the list as well, increasing the chance you'll find something you like. With that, we are also revamping the community discovery page to refresh it to match the rest of the new Yammer design, while also showing the community cover photos at this larger scale, which puts them front and center. We're also making the link to the community discovery page easier to find by putting it at the top of the left-hand rail near inbox. Also, one last thing, we're looking at official communities. This would be a great way for you to mark what's important and supported in your network as official. This should help your users know they found the right community and also help them know that they should get good information and answers here. I think the most interesting part here is that in many ways, this new way of working is better, that the current circumstances have forced us to change our habits, and the new way we're doing things is better in many ways. We're more aware of the need for connection. We have more empathy for each other, and while we feel less connected in many ways, we feel connected in new ways. We now know each other's children and pets, and we know many people better for who they are. So, how can you bring these changes to your own organization? There are some quick and easy steps. First, enable the new Yammer. There's more information on that in the next screen, and I'll talk to you about that. But that's the best way to get all of these new resources and tools for you and your network. Second thing is to make sure you have all the right communities and the essential communities created, and any new ones which could help you during this time. My third tip, use all company for company-wide announcements. And if you need to, go ahead and make it moderated if you want an official news channel. And then the final step is to deploy the Communities app in Teams. As I hope you saw, it's a really powerful way to bring this community's experience to everyone in your organization. All right, so how do you get the new Yammer? Yammer network admins can roll out access to the new Yammer through the admin portal, where they can enable the toggle in the suite header or choose the default experience for their network, whether classic Yammer, the new Yammer, or you can go all in on the new Yammer only and remove the toggle from your network. A couple of notes on external users and networks. The new Yammer is currently available for home networks only, meaning that you'll still see classic Yammer experience in external networks. For external users, their Yammer experience will depend on the state of their home network. You can learn more about the new Yammer preview, how to enable it, and get answers to frequently asked questions by going to the URL on the screen. Now, how will the experience roll out? We're already at the point of you being able to choose any of those experiences that I mentioned on the prior screen, as we're already GA. So you now have the ability to choose how you want Yammer within your network. In the coming months, we'll start pushing the toggle out to everyone so that all users across all networks have the ability to get to both the new Yammer and the old Yammer. Then from there, we'll start defaulting everyone to the new Yammer by default. You'll get plenty of warning before we make any of these changes, don't worry. And then as our final state, we'll all be happily living in the new Yammer only. It's a pretty good world. I've been in it for a while, and I hope you like it too. To support the new Yammer, we've updated our Yammer adoption resources site. Check it out and get access to the latest tips and tools, as well as email templates for rolling out the new Yammer in your organization, or the PowerPoint template I mentioned, where you can try out your Yammer community cover photos. On top of that, we have tons more resources available. Be sure to check these out too. And we also have some other great video sessions covering other aspects of Yammer. Make sure to check out the videos on engaging employees with the new Yammer. That covers a lot of the areas I talked about in depth, and you can get a lot more detail there. Well, that's it. I really appreciate the time you've spent with me today, learning about how to use the superpower of communities in the new Yammer to help connect everyone across your organization and stay up to date with the latest news. I hope you have success using these features in your own network. Thank you so much, and be well.